What's good, everybody? It's your boy Nate Dizzy here, and I wanted to make a quick video on the basically running over the weapons in Onward to help new players, because we just had the 1.8 update, and with that brought a lot of new players. The game is now opened up to Quest with crossplay between Quest and PC VR, which is amazing, as you can see right there. So yeah, if you're a new player, welcome to the game. I wanted to give you an up-to-date rundown on the best weapons to start out with as a beginner. I'm going to go over each class, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. I'm going to come to a shooting range now. Alright, so when you start the game, you're going to be met with the decision between Marsoc and Volk. Now, Marsoc is obviously Special Forces, Volk is obviously the terrorists, and so yeah, between them, you're going to have different weapon choices. We'll go ahead and start off with Marsoc. I want to start off and preface this by saying that the number one classes that I would recommend is either Rifleman 1 first and Specialist 2nd. These two have the best weapons in terms of recoil and ease of use across both of the sides, and the support weapons are a little bit higher skill, and marksman as well. Especially if you don't know the map, it's going to be a lot harder to snipe and things like that. So let's just go ahead and get into the individual classes and take a look here. Now I do want to say too, this is not going to be like a complete in-depth rundown on every single bit and piece, because there are a lot of intricacies to Onward, but it's in terms of the weapons, it can be pretty simple to start off. So we'll go ahead and say there's two weapons here you want to take a look at. That is the MK16, or the SCAR 16 is what it is in real life, and then you have the AK5C, which is the AK5C in real life. Now, the way I look at these two weapons is, if you are in a close range map, or if you need the extra point, go with the AK5C. If you're on a longer range map such as Downfall, which is the big open desert map, then I would go with the MK16, because it gives you significantly better recoil. It's not a huge difference, but it is noticeable when using the weapon. So I would say MK16 long range, AK5C close, and I would set them up the same way. First off, always take a foregrip. I have to say that first because it's extremely important. Take a foregrip in any situation that you can possibly take a foregrip, with the exception of snipers, and even with snipers sometimes, because this reduces the recoil by more than 50%. I'll put up on screen the variability between the recoil there, and you'll be able to see that there on screen. So suppressors, I would say if you're trying to do something sneaky, maybe, but they're pretty expensive, and on Rifleman they're not as useful, because a lot of the time you're going to be just pushing it to the enemy. So I would recommend suppressors only on snipers. So anyway, hollow or red dot would be my recommendation. You can also take a 4x. If you do that, you could also take an angled to give you that extra red dot option, because 4x is pretty hard to use up close, but generally people play with a hollow sight. Some prefer the red dot. So that's my recommendation, is either the red dot or hollow sight. Something to note is AP rounds only penetrate body armor, they don't penetrate anything in the environment any better. So I wouldn't generally recommend AP on anything, including snipers generally, unless it's forced, like in the case of the bolt action. Also, something to note is, if you take the AP rounds, you get 2 magazines versus 4 magazines. So with FMJ, you'll start off with 1 mag in the gun and 3 mags on your plate carrier, versus starting off with 1 mag in the gun, 1 mag as backup, which is horrible in terms of if you're using a weapon in automatic, because that can go away very quickly. So I would generally recommend hollow sight, foregrip, FMJ. If you prefer, go with the red dot. Maybe try the 2x hollow sight if you have slightly more ranges, or even the 4x if you're on really long range maps like Downfall. And I'll just go over the equipment one time, and it's the same across support, Rifleman, and Specialist for Marsoc side. I would definitely take smoke grenades, because smoke grenades are extremely important in moving up and across the battlefield. Flash grenades in close range maps, and frag grenades are good for clearing out particular areas once you start to get a good hang of the maps and know where people might be. In terms of equipment, extra syringe if you just have that extra point, night vision if you're in a dark map, and then body armor can be used to protect only the upper torso. It does not protect the stomach, it does not protect the legs or arms or the head, obviously. And yeah, so consider that the body armor is generally not worth it, although there are certain instances where it would be worth it if you're going to be taking a particular position where you're going to be just there and only your upper body and head will be exposed. Moving on to the specialist class, we have some interesting things here, but my main recommendation is to just take the Mark 18. Now, you can take a red dot or hollow. I would recommend the hollow. And generally, you'd want to take a foregrip. You do have the option of the M203, which looks like this. It is a grenade launcher in a smoke or frag format. Now, keep in mind that you only get one shot with that. So if you take the frag, it gives you an extra frag grenade on top of this one. And no, you can't put this frag grenade in it to reload it. But yeah, I would generally recommend just taking the foregrip. Specialist is something to pick if your teammates pick up the Rifleman class and you can't pick the Rifleman class. I would take the Specialist as a close runner-up. The foregrip with the Mark 18 is very similar to the AK-5C in terms of recoil. Again, all of the equipment's going to be the same. One thing I will note is this is where you'll find the Ballistic Shield, which can be used in conjunction with a pistol. You can't take a rifle with the Ballistic Shield. High skill weapon. A lot of changes have been made to it, so I can't say too much in terms of how you would go about using it, but I will say this, that pick a good pistol, like the G17 with a good magazine capacity. The M1911 is a good gun, but has very few rounds in the mag, and you will have to be reloading pretty much one-handed when you're using the shield, so I would take the G17 so you do less of that. One thing that's good to use with that is the laser sight, and that's all I'm going to say about the specialist class on MARSOC. Next thing we'll go over is the support clutch, which I do not generally recommend for beginners, but it is fun if you're just messing around. You have the belt-fed guns, so you have a box mag here with a chain of bullets that comes out and is fed into here. Keep in mind with this that you always have to load the gun at the beginning of the round with the belt-fed guns. That's pretty much all I'm going to say. They have pretty poor recoil. Make sure that you take a foregrip or the recoil is actually like astoundingly bad. The L86A2 is a good option on MARSOC's side because you can actually take these drum mags and share them with your teammates. So what you'll do is, take a magazine off your belt, give it to your teammate, they give you back their magazine, and then you've given them a 100-round drum and gotten 30 in return, which gives you more firepower as a whole, which is sometimes a good option. It's really a team-based option, though. That's about it I'm going to say about this. Make sure you always take foregrip, hollow sight, or red dot, and then the same in terms of attachments. Moving on to the marksman, what I would say, I'm just going to be quick and concise about this. I would either take the M40A5 or the M16A4. M40A5 is a bolt action like this, pretty much one-shots somebody anywhere in the body. And it's a good option if you're an extremely accurate sniper. It's much better if you know the maps, but if you want to mess around with it, obviously you can either take a 4X or a 12X. 12X being preferable in a lot of cases. I prefer the 4X because generally I can see as far as I need to with that on the maps. And then I would also recommend taking an angled sight and a suppressor. The angled sight is right here, and it gives you the option of being able to look through the sight for closer ranges. So 12X angled sight's a really good option for that. In terms of the equipment, you do have the drone in this section. Consider taking the drone, but one thing to consider is the MARSOC drone is extremely loud when you launch it, so when you first start the round, give your team a chance to move away from you before you launch it, because it's going to give away your position, particularly on maps that are closer range. AP is forced on the bolt action, but I will say if you take the M16, now this would be an example of a run and gun sniper style. You have burst fire on this, so you do not have full automatic, but you do have burst fire, which is pretty powerful. This is my go-to in terms of a sniper. It's a M16 A2 with a 12 or 4x and a canted sight, or an angled sight. Right for me, left if you're left-handed, or check out the left hand because I think it's kind of interesting. Sometimes I like to use it, but what I will say is take FMJ. Again, AP only works on body armor, which only affects the upper torso, which is it's not very likely you're going to be only shooting the upper torso, and any other shot will affect them the same with the FMJ. Also, again, you get more magazines with the full metal jacket rounds, so that's 4 versus 2 with the AP ammo. Again, always take a suppressor if you're going to be a sniper, because not revealing your position is incredibly important. Moving on to the Volk side here, let me go ahead and switch over. That's the black helmet. We'll take a look at Rifleman, and this is really simple. It's the AK-12. There's pretty much no other option here. The FAMAS is okay if you like burst fire, but generally it's the AK-12. Pretty much nobody would recommend anything else other than that for this class, for the Rifleman class on Volk side. And then again, run that with the foregrip, hollow sight, and the full metal jacket ammo. Same thing with the equipment. Other than on Volk side, I would prioritize frags and flashes over smokes, because smokes are used to get to position, to move position. Now they're a little bit different, so you can kind of hold people off with them, but there's always better options in my opinion. Like, why not just throw a frag grenade and just kill them instead of just trying to block them? Obviously night vision if you need it, extra syringe if you have the point, etc. Moving on, we have the Specialist class, which has some interesting options. Either take the G36C or the TAR-21. The TAR-21 is a bullpup. This is the main difference between the two. TAR-21 does not take a foregrip because it is this bullpup format, and basically already acts as if it has a foregrip on it. Higher recoil than the G36C, but also has a faster rate of fire at 800 versus the G36C's 750. With the G36C, make sure you take the foregrip with it, no matter what. Otherwise, it's pretty difficult to control, and I would run either a hollow or a red dot on there. One thing about the Volk Specialist class is that you do have an option to take a Molotov or C4. You can't see it there because of that thing, but they're all 2 points. The frag, Molotov, and C4 are all 2 points. You can kind of see it there. Oh well, yeah, you can kind of see it there. C4 is incredibly powerful, has a pretty awesome range, like really far, obviously way farther than a frag, a regular frag. And you can place it, it sticks to things, or you can just throw it and blow it up with the clicker. You'll receive both. With the Molotov, you will get a lighter, comes with it on your vest, so you'll have to light it. You can't just pull it off and throw it, just know that. And the Molotov can be really good at clearing out an area. It's kind of better than the frag in some ways, and then the frag's better than the Molotov in some ways. It's just something to consider, but I would recommend trying to prioritize explosives and flash grenades over the smoke grenades on Volk. Pretty much the main point. Moving on to support, again, not recommended heavily for beginners, but you do have the PKM, which is the Volk chain gun, and something to keep in mind is the G3A3. You cannot share these mags with anybody because the Volk do not share the mags like you can on MARSOC. So I would just mainly recommend the PKM in this situation. Always take the foregrip, it's almost impossible to use without it, and a hollow sight or a 2x hollow. Obviously I wouldn't recommend any more with this particular gun. Yeah, and then the same thing for the attachments and equipment as the Rifleman and Specialist, basically. On Volk Marksman, this is a very similar story. You have the SKS, which is a DMR, but I prefer the AKM because it gives you the option of automatic fire, and it basically functions very similar to the SKS in terms of how it works. I would run a 4X and a angled sight if you want to be a kind of active sniper role, and then you have the SV98, which you might want to take, and you could run the 12 or 4X and an angled sight on that. You don't necessarily need the angled sight on a bolt action. One thing I will say is bolt actions are extremely high skill and almost a complete waste in my opinion, because a lot of the times The AKM or even the SKS is going to give you more shots on a target before having to reload. Obviously, you have to rack the bolt after every shot with the bolt action. It kills in one shot, but if you miss that one shot, you're screwed. They're going to get to safety in time 9 times out of 10. So I would take the AKM probably if it was me, and that way I have that automatic fire capability with an angled sight and either a 4 or 12x. That way I can flip the gun up and use that as if I'm basically a rifleman. Always take a suppressor on the sniper class, and I would take FMJ ammo with the AK. Obviously, you're forced into AP with the SV98. So that's about it. Oh yeah, I didn't mention the ground drone for Volk. So they do have the ground drone on Volk. Pretty cool, pretty useful. Not available in League play, but it is available in regular play. So go ahead and check that out. Use it. It's basically an extra Volk player. Highly useful in terms of figuring out where the enemy is, especially if you just hide it in a good location. You use your tablet to actually use it, and you can just keep an eye on a location as if you're there, but you're not there, and so it can be extremely useful in figuring out where the enemy is. That's about it for this video. I don't want it to get too long. Obviously, it ran a little longer than I wanted it to, but that's about it. So if you enjoyed this, give it a like. Welcome to the Onward community if you're new, and subscribe if you want more content. Let me know if you want a more in-depth analysis, which I could give you down in the comments. And yeah, I'll catch you next time. Nate Dizzy,